when you said you have guns. No, at the debate. At the debate,
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But look, I am all about self-defense, but in no world is taking another human life funny. I can't imagine, taking lethal action against someone and then laughing about it, let alone laughing about it in front of an audience on a national streaming platform. And I also have a question for Kamala Harris. You said you would shoot someone if they came into your home. Well, does that include government workers? And more specifically, would that include your government workers who you said that you would send into people's homes? In case you missed it, back in California, Kamala Harris said that she would send government workers into law-abiding gun owners' houses just to make sure that they were storing the guns properly. Here it is in case you missed it.
Responsible behaviors among everybody in the community, and just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
Have you heard from...
So last night, Oprah Winfre held a virtual town hall with Kamala Harris. They did have a live studio audience, but people from all over the country were able to stream in, and some people were able to FaceTime one-on-one with Kamala to ask her questions. Now, this friendly town hall, in the safest safe place for a liberal, proves once and for all why Kamala Harris's campaign has been shielding and hiding her from the press. It's because she's completely unable to articulate a vision for the future. It's because she's unable to directly answer any question. The best example was the most softball question. What will you do to fix the economy? What will you do to help us with the increased cost of living?
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
Wait a minute, I thought Bidenomics was a good thing. I thought you were just defending Bidenomics yesterday and weren't trying to separate yourself from it at all. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that Bidenomics is working and then admit that the cost of living is too high. Which is it? Now, did you notice how she spent the entire first half of her answer basically filibustering? Unfortunately for Kamala Harris, she is not an inspirational figure, unlike Barack Obama. He was very inspirational for a large portion of the American population, or Martin Luther King Jr. She's trying to be inspirational, but it just falls flat. She's essentially an actress, right? She's just playing a role. And I think she was doing that because she was trying to buy herself time so she could formulate that answer in her mind, and then, unintentionally admits, hey, prices are too high, we're going to lower the prices. Which again, that you can't have it both ways. You can't say Bidenomics is working and then be like, well, actually, no, prices are too high, so let's lower prices. Which is it, Kamala? Really, which is it? And if she actually did do interviews with the press, and not just propagandists, but with a real free and fair press, she would have to answer for that. Her feet would be held to the fire. So before we dive deeper into this train wreck and the word salad that Kamala served up last night, I think for me, the worst part of this town hall were all the celebrities that phoned in from their lush, cush, and luxurious mansions in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, and whatever other exclusive gated communities that they live in. It's really rich for them to lecture us about progress and to tell us who to vote for when issues like the economy, security, inflation don't affect them, right? Because they are the top of the top. They are the elites, yet they want to lecture us about how we should vote. Here is Julia Roberts last night at the town hall.
First of all, Oprah, thank you for hosting this, because I guess if I started a voting club, it would be conversationalists for Kamala.
Yes.
Because to talk, to listen, to be heard,
Yeah.
to have this back and forth is so unique in this campaign.
Really? You want to talk about conversations with conversationalists when your own candidate won't even have a conversation with the press? Unless it's a pre-scripted interview with very friendly media. And it's not just the fact that, again, Kamala has been hiding from the press. It's the fact that it's the left. It's the Democrat Party that's been trying to suppress free speech. You know, Joe Biden, the Harris-Biden administration, we now know that they worked with big tech in the height of the COVID pandemic to suppress free speech. We know that Hillary Clinton is on the record now saying that she wants to criminally charge people for spreading misinformation or disinformation, and that Tim Walz is on the record saying that that sort of free speech isn't permitted. So they want to censor speech. They want to infringe on our First Amendment rights, and yet they want to lecture us about having conversations. Totally rich. You know, again, very ironic, very hypocritical, very rich coming from the Hollywood elite. It wasn't just Julia Roberts. Kevin Hart was also there as well.
I want to bring my daughters to the White House to meet this black woman president.
That's a reason. That's a reason.
That's the reason. I think she would make a great president, and I'm ready to turn the page, man.
Yeah.
All the hate, the negativity, it's got to stop.
Yeah, we're so sick of the negativity. Thank you so much, Chris, for being.
Two things. He cites, you know, right there, it's all identity politics. He's not talking about how she's an inspirational figure. He's not talking about how she's a visionary or how she would enact any change. He's only there. He only praises her. He only looks up to her. He only wants his daughters to look up to her because of her gender and because of her race. To me, that's not a reason to vote for anyone. Just because, you know, for example, if an Asian man ran for president, I wouldn't support him just because he's Asian. I mean, no, I would want him to have actual policies that I agree with. The best example of this, Andrew Yang, you know, who ran for the Democrats. I didn't support him just because he was Asian. He had a few ideas, economic ideas specifically, that sure, I may have agreed with. And, you know, I gave him some thought because of that. But it was because of his ideas that I gave him a second look. I didn't support him, by the way. But it had nothing to do with his race. It had nothing to do with his gender. And I think that's what's really insulting for a lot of Americans, because we actually want depth. We want to know the character of the person, and we want to know the leadership capabilities of the person. Now, Oprah Winfre began this entire town hall by talking about how she encountered a black man at the airport and how the black man told her that he was going to vote for Trump. Take a look at this.
On the way here, when I was coming through the airport, black man stopped me and he said, I guess he knew I was coming here for something like this. And he goes, well, I'm just tell you, I'm voting for Trump.
Yup. And I think the reason that that man stopped Oprah Winfre is because the American people are sick of having candidates shoved down their throats. And look, it's not just Kamala Harris. The same thing on the Democrat side happened in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Remember Bernie Sanders and the superdelegates? I mean, Bernie, I'm not a Democrat and I didn't support Bernie, but the Democrats really did treat him unfairly with the superdelegates, and the Democrat Party didn't put a thumb on the scale. They put their entire body on the scale to tilt the thing towards Hillary Clinton. And now we're seeing a repeat of that. The Democrats saw it, you know, when they forced Joe Biden out. They shoved Kamala Harris down everyone's throats. It's so clear to everyone on the outside looking in that this is a very well-produced, highly choreographed Hollywood production, not just Hollywood, but the Democrat Party as well, and the mainstream media, all trying to prop up and protect Kamala Harris while simultaneously bending over backwards to destroy Donald Trump. But unfortunately for Kamala, not everything in life can be scripted. Not everything can be controlled. She was asked a question about her specific plan to secure the border. Now, brace yourselves. I'm really warning you to brace yourselves. This is a 3-minute answer about her plan to secure the border. Does she answer the question at all within these 3 minutes? Let's find out.
When you become president, what would be your specific steps? Yeah, of course. What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. My background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. Okay. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people. Sadly, where we are now can be traced most recently back to the fact that when the United States Congress, members of the Congress, including some of the most conservative Republicans, came up with a border security bill. And here's what that border security bill would have done. It would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border. Let me tell you, those border agents are working around the clock. It would have just been about giving them some support and relief, which is probably why the border agents actually endorsed the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl. And I'm looking at people from all over the country here, so I don't need to tell the folks who are watching this what fentanyl has done to families, to kids in our country, and the need to take seriously stemming the flow coming into our country and addressing that extraordinary and tragic issue in terms of its effect. The bill would have allowed us to have more resources to prosecute transnational criminal organizations. And it would have been part of the solution. And Donald Trump called up those folks and said, don't put that bill on the floor for a vote. He blocked the bill, and you know why? Why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And he has put...
Excuse, I just have to interrupt right there. Kamala, you're the one currently in office. You are currently vice president. Trump is not in office. So it's very funny. You know, this is classic political theater. She is answering the question without actually answering the question. She is blaming the other guy and then promising to do what she should have already done in this term. You know, it's like watching a rerun of a show that wasn't that good to begin with. And again, she hasn't actually answered his question. She hasn't actually answered, you know, her specific policies, her specific steps to secure the border. Instead, she gave us, you know, a rundown of her resume. She blamed Trump. She threw everything but the kitchen sink. Actually, she did throw the kitchen sink in there. She threw everything in there except for an answer.
His personal political security before border security. Because understand, even in the intervening months, what that bill would have done to give support to folks who care about this issue. And this again gets to the point about what does leadership really look like? And is it about you or is it about the people? Right. Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the
You're in office right now.
It's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, it's really funny that Oprah had to jump in at the last minute to be like, so are you going to answer his question or not? And, you know, she's saying she's going to get the bill in there. Of course, you know, she is in office right now. And then she never provided a new solution. She never provided a new idea. But of course, we should not be surprised that she has no new ideas to offer when she's essentially plagiarized all of Trump's ideas, as well as J.D. Vance's ideas. Now, one of the best examples of word salad is this next clip. And fortunately, it's a lot shorter than that last one. I know that was torture. It was torture for me, so I know it was torture for y'all.
We love our country. I love our country. I know we all do. That's why everybody's here right now. We love our country. We take pride in the privilege of being American. And this is a moment where we can and must come together as Americans, understanding we have so much more in common than what separates us. Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people.
She has the depth of a fortune cookie. Like, seriously, you crack a fortune cookie open and it kind of sounds inspirational, but it really says nothing, and you know it's not actually going to do anything for your life. You know, she's calling for unity here, which is great. You know, groundbreaking stuff. What's she going to call for next? A better tomorrow?
We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being. Because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are, which includes freedom to make decisions about your own body, freedom to be safe from gun violence, freedom to have access to the ballot box, freedom to be who you are and just be, to love who you love openly and with pride, freedom to just be. And that's who we are. We believe in all that. And so this is a moment where we stand knowing what we are fighting for. We're not fighting against. It's what we're fighting for.
Thank you. Thank you.
If she's not fighting against anyone, why does she keep bringing up Donald Trump? If she's not fighting against anyone, why does she keep bringing up how bad and evil and mean the Republicans are? Why, like, her entire campaign is not about what she would do. It's not about her vision for the future. It's about, I'm not Donald Trump. I'm not Orange Man bad. Like, it's her entire campaign is one big cliche. All these things sound great. Who doesn't want unity? Who doesn't want world peace? It's almost like she, you know, put in into Chat GPT and it spun out an answer. So she's running for like a Miss America pageant. I want world peace and I want to solve world hunger and let everyone be who they want to be. Who isn't who they want to be? Like, I am at a loss for words because I am just shocked that anyone could buy this and take this seriously. If you took this seriously, if you think that this was a great performance by Kamala Harris, I truly, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm not going to make fun of you. I want to hear down in the comments below, like, can you please explain rationally how this is inspirational, how this gives you hope for the future of America, how this, you know, makes you confident that Kamala Harris could be the commander-in-chief in the face of World War III, in the face of economic uncertainty, in the face of a border crisis. Seriously, let me know down below. But as always, this is just my analysis, my commentary, and I'd love to know what you thought in the comments down below. Do you think this actually opened people's eyes to, you know, perhaps how unqualified and how unserious Kamala Harris is? You know, a few times I thought Oprah looked very uncomfortable. The fact that Oprah had to step in on the border security, the border policy question and be like, hey, Kamala, are you actually going to answer the question? You've been talking for almost 3 minutes now and we haven't gotten an answer. I mean, do you think people see what the rest of us are seeing? Or do you think that, you know, it's just the blind leading the blind? If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more people like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.